Hello, my name's Victoria and this is my May wrap-up. In the month of May, I read 5 books, which if you knew how busy I was in the month of May and how insane that month was for me, you'd be really impressed that I got 5 books read. In fact, that's maybe the most that I've read in any month. I guess the key is just to be really stressed out and busy and I'll just want to read more. There we go, that's the key. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the books that I read this month. The first book that I completed this month was City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. And the reason I am reading these books is because of BookTube. I just felt like I heard about these a lot. I just wanted to know what was going on. I was really hoping for a kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibe with these. I kind of got it. I did get something very enjoyable and was just a fun, easy read. Reading these books just kind of helped my brain unplug a little bit. And now that I'm reading them, I'm trying to really commit through them and actually finish the series because I am terrible at finishing series. Like, terrible. Now, this would have been the conclusion of the series had she not decided to add 6 more books. And I have to say, it was a good conclusion. I thought that things wrapped up in the way that you wanted them to wrap up as a reader, and we really got the answers that we were looking for. I won't go too much into the plot because you would have had to read the first 2 books. I don't know, I'm just really surprised that there's 3 more books in the series because I could have left it here, you know what I mean? I actually rated this book 4 stars on Goodreads, so that's how much I enjoyed it. It was fast-paced, very plot-driven, and we got the answers that we were looking for. The second book that I completed is it's actually a manga, Fruits Basket. This was my very first manga that I read in my life, as in currently I'm 28 years old and I'm reading a manga for the first time. I decided to pick up manga because I honestly don't know why I haven't. I've always had friends reading manga and for some reason I just never got myself into it. I just never went out to the bookstore and got myself a copy. I think part of the reason is because they're so expensive. And your girl's poor, okay? I didn't have high expectations going into this. I just knew that my friend in high school really liked the series, so I decided to pick it up. And let me tell you, I had so much fun reading this, and I cannot wait to continue in the series. To give you a short synopsis of Fruits Basket, it's about a girl who, she's really down on her luck. She just lost her mom. She is actually homeless and she's trying to work her way through school. And this group of boys from her school basically finds her living in her tent and they take her in. However, these boys have a secret. That secret is pretty silly. Are you ready for it? These boys turn into the animals of the zodiac when you hug them. That's right, when you hug them. If it sounds silly, it's because it is, but it's so cute and I really enjoyed reading it. So it's the story of how she interacts with them and how they kind of take her in and all the antics that she gets into with them and the way that they relate to each other. I will hopefully be picking up volume 2 very soon so that I can continue on with the cuteness. Honestly, I was so busy in parts of this month and I was really stressed out from work, and cracking this open was just really let my brain go to mush. And you know, it's cute. It's full of cuteness. So yeah, Fruits Basket, 5 stars, adorable. The third book that I read this month was Lessons in Belonging from a Church-Going Commitment Phobe. Now, I don't think I actually bought this book. My husband got this book. He worked for a Christian organization and they would frequently send him books. Just kind of the things they were promoting at the time. So this was one of them, and I just randomly picked it up off of our shelf. He never ends up reading the books that they send him, and I end up reading them all, and then I tell him whether or not he should read them. Unfortunately, I don't think that I could recommend this one. I was actually really excited about this book going into it, and I thought maybe I would relate to it more, and I've related to a lot of the things that Erin Lane said. Oh yeah, that's the author, Erin Lane. Wow, I forgot to say the author of, what, all of these books? No, I said Cassandra Clare, but no one needs to know that because you already know that. I gotta backpedal for a second. Sorry. Natsuki Takaya. is the author of this one. Booktube newbie fail. So unfortunately, I didn't enjoy this one as much as I was hoping to enjoy it. Basically, Erin Lane is just taking you through her experiences with church. This book is about the complicated relationship that especially young people tend to have with church. She's really talking about the millennial generation here. The main thing that she touches on is belonging to a church and belonging to a group of people. The tagline on the back of the book to help you understand is, "The thing I am most desperate to keep you from finding out about me is, I want to belong, but I don't know how." What I appreciated about Erin Lane was her honesty and frankness. She just writes with a really open tone and not judgmental or anything like that. She's literally just kind of sharing her own story. That being said, I found this book to be really rambly, and it was hard to really pin down her point sometimes. In fact, she even kind of ends it kind of open-ended as well. And there were just some things in here that I did not agree with. 3 stars, I wouldn't really highly recommend this one to anyone, but I did enjoy reading it, and it was definitely an interesting one. The 4th book that I read this month was an ebook, and it is called, oh my gosh, wow, I forgot the title. Her Dangerous Visions by Brandon Barr. So I actually know Brandon Barr personally in real life. He is an independent author, self-published, so I am just so proud of him for doing that. This was the first book in his Song of the World series, and I have to say I did really enjoy it. I also gave it 3 stars simply because I personally don't gel with the Game of Thrones type of storytelling. And what I mean by that is the multiple perspectives in fantasy stories. I honestly just prefer it to be from 1 or 2 perspectives, but that's part of why I can't get through Game of Thrones, is because I cannot keep track of all the characters, or maybe I just am lazy and I don't want to, but I just find it to get really tangled, and I feel like sometimes the characters all sound the same. I think it's really hard to make, when you have that many characters that you're writing from, to make their individual voices unique. Not to say that Brandon Barr didn't do a good job with his different voices, he really did. It just doesn't personally work for me. Even though there's multiple perspectives that we follow in this story, there's really 2 main protagonists. Well, more like 3. There are 2 worlds that are happening mainly in the book. The first world we are introduced to is the world of Loam. And that's where we meet a character named Winter. And Winter is a seer. She basically gets visions of things that are going to pass. However, sometimes those things don't really come to pass, and there's something that either is going to come to pass if she acts on it, or maybe there's nothing she can do about the vision and it's just going to happen. And she has to decide whether or not to internalize all of the visions that she's receiving and just to let them pass, or to act on them and try to prevent them. What we see mostly of is visions of violence, either against her own people or another people, that she has to decide whether or not to try and prevent. But sometimes these things come to pass whether or not she acts on them. And then we have a separate world called Hearth, and that's where we meet Melusha. Melusha is technically heir to the throne of this kingdom of Hearth. Melusha has been planning her entire life to take over the kingdom, and it's really all she dreams about. But because she's a woman, her father is sort of a chauvinistic pig. As her father is dying, she is trying to convince him why she would be a great leader, and that he should appoint her instead of his right-hand men. Brandon Barr has put together a really complex and interesting world. Very good fantasy world. Sometimes I felt like there was just too much being done at once. However, I can definitely recommend this book if you're looking for a series and you want to support an independent author. He's really great. The last book that I read in May was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. In this book, you follow a character named Eddie. Eddie's job is to fix the rides at the amusement park, and one day he has an accident, and of course this accident whisks him off to heaven. And I don't want to go into it too much further, but basically he has 5 people that he has to talk to in heaven in order to kind of understand his life. He dies kind of a grumpy old man, very disillusioned with the way things are, very lonely, a war veteran, just kind of broken by life. And so as he's in heaven, you kind of see him working through that. And as people close to him kind of explain things to him and make things clear to him. I so loved this book. I just thought it was beautifully written. I couldn't put it down, and I finished it, I don't know, in probably like 3 or 4 hours. I think at one point this book made me cry too, and that's hard to do. So I don't know why I'm not giving this 5 stars. I gave it 4. I think this is why I'm not giving it 5 stars. There were just some cheesy moments in it that, I don't know. I'm not down with the cheese. I would highly recommend this one. I think everyone should read it. It's really thought-provoking. Mitch Albom really writes characters well. That was my biggest takeaway from this, was how fleshed out and real the characters seemed. Especially Eddie, the main character. You really get to live inside Eddie's head, and you really feel for Eddie. That'll do it for my May wrap-up. Let me know down in the comments what you've been reading, and if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my face, then go ahead and click on the little subscribe button down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great reading month coming up in June. Bye!